Hello and welcome back to my channel. We're here today with another book review. Today we're going to be reviewing Six of Crows, which is the book that I recently finished reading. So to give you a little idea of the plot without giving any spoilers, criminal prodigy Kaz Brecker is offered a chance at a deadly heist, break into the Ice Court, a military stronghold that has never been breached, and retrieve a hostage whose knowledge could change Grisha magic forever. To succeed would mean riches beyond his wildest dreams, but he can't pull it off alone. A convict with a thirst for revenge, a sharpshooter who can't walk away from a wager, a runaway with a privileged past, a spy known as the Wraith, a heartrender using her magic to survive the slums, a thief with a gift for unlikely escape, six dangerous outcasts, one impossible heist. Together they might just be unstoppable, if they don't kill each other first. So that's the plot of the book. No spoilers. There are a few characters within the books that we learn about. There's Kaz Brecker, the leader of the Dregs. He came to Ketterdam when he was a young boy, and he lost his older brother Geordie, which has been the whole reason behind everything he's done since. Then we have Inje, who is the Wraith. She used to be at this place called the Menagerie until Kaz bought her out, and now she works for the Dregs. Kaz and Inji have a little will they, won't they kind of thing going on. Then we have Nina Senek. Nina is a Grisha. She currently is working at the White Rose. She met Matthias, and she is the reason Matthias is currently in prison because she accused him of being a slaver. Which leads us to Matthias. Matthias in the first book is in prison and he wants revenge on Nina. Then we have Jasper, who is part of the Dregs. He used to work on a farm with his father and then he came to the city to go to university but ended up in debt with some bad people. And that's why he gets involved. And then we'll have Wyland van Eck, who was the son of a merchant and he left to come to Ketterdam and find his own way in life. So those are our characters. They all get hired for the ice court job by Jan van Eck, who wants the high value hostage away from the ice court and away from any other factions that might try to use him because there's this drug called Jerda Param, which gives Grisha more power but also is very deadly and dangerous and can cause a lot of terrible side effects and can even lead to death. So the entirety of the book starts with them making plans to get to the ice court, and then they get there. So they have to plan how to get in, how they're going to get out, and things don't exactly go according to plan because when they actually go to the docks to board their boat, they're attacked, and Injay is injured, which sends Kaz off the deep end quite a bit. And that's when we start to see how he actually does care about her, but then it takes kind of 2 days to approach her after she starts walking around and essentially she's fine. And you just kind of spend the whole time wishing that they would just admit how they feel to each other. As for Nina and Matthias, there's a lot of hate there on both sides. Nina hates Matthias because he captured her and he works for an organization that is essentially capturing, torturing, and killing Grisha. And Matthias hates Nina because she's everything that he's been conditioned and trained to hate. But even with the hatred that they have for each other, there's some affection there. They care about each other, but the care that they have is so tainted by the hate. But as the book goes on, their relationship really does develop. All the characters develop in ways. Jesper and Wyland may have a little something. There seem to there seems to be some flirting going on, mainly on Jesper's side because Wyland's kind of that shy, noble boy at this point. So they get to the ice court and they're able to get in through the prison. They pretend to be prisoners, and once they're in the prison, they make these plans to get out and scour the ice court looking for the prisoner whose name is Kui. So that's Kuwei. You all split into groups because there were the women prisons and the men prisons, so Kaz, Jasper, Wyler, and Matthias would all be in the male prisons, and Nina and Injay would be in the female prisons. They all had to regroup at some point, but for now they're all gone their separate ways. While they're going through the prisons, Kaz finds out that Pekka Rollins is there. Now, Pekka Rollins is the person that Kaz has sworn revenge on. Because when Kaz came to Ketterdam as a young boy with his older brother, Pekka Rollins had the identity of someone else. And he lured in Kaz and his older brother Geordie with a scheme, essentially, that took all their money and left them destitute. So, this is how Kaz lost his older brother, and this is what made Kaz swear revenge. Because when Kaz and Geordie lost everything, they were thrown onto the streets from the place where they were staying. And they were, and they both got sick. Geordie didn't get any better, but Kaz did. Their bodies were thrown into a barge, but no one knew Kaz was alive. They thought he was dead, so he had to swim back to shore using his brother's corpse, and this is why Kaz has his affliction to touch. It's why he always has to wear gloves. He also broke his leg at some point, and that's why he has to use a cane. Injay has her own dreams as well. She didn't want to be part of the menagerie. She was forced into that by the owner, Tanti Heelan. I believe that's her name, or Heelan Tanti. It's one of the two. And she also wants to leave the dregs, wants to succeed at this job. She wants to have her own ship. She wants to stop slavers taking people in and kidnapping them because she doesn't want anyone to have the same kind of life she did. Which, when you read about her and learn all about her, her story is very realistic for the kind of person she is. Nina wants to free Matthias from prison. She regrets what she did. And Matthias just wants to get back to his people, his job as a soldier, but as time goes on, he's forced to face the fact that the people he used to work for are quite barbaric. And when he sees the horror of what they're doing on the ice court, he realizes that he can't pretend it's not happening anymore and that he needs to make a choice, and he chooses the side with Nina. He chooses her over everything he's ever known, and considering that he's been trained and made to hate these Grisha for his whole life, to make that sudden change, it's rather impressive, and it's good character development. Like, mm, they had Nina locked up, and he could have left her, but he didn't. He went back, even though he was the reason she got locked up in the first place. He was constantly torn between his revenge, his belief, and his affections for Nina that seemed to be just growing by the day. They do manage to find the high value hostage that the Nina that they had been sent in to look for. However, when they get back to Ketterdam, everything goes wrong. They plan to meet Fan Ek, but Fan Ek had no intention of paying them anything. And I think Kaz knew that, which is why he had Wyland tailored to look like Cooey. And that's when you learn that Fan Ek never valued his son. He never cared for him. In fact, he was glad that he was gone because he's got a new wife who's pregnant, and it's Fan Ek's belief that the child they're gonna have will be better than Wyland, which is just so heartbreaking to hear because Wyland's right there. He's listening to all of this, and I think he believed at that point that his father would want him to come home, but I think he knew deep down that he hadn't because he'd been getting all these really nasty letters from his dad. Van Eyck is the kind of person who's more concerned with how he looks rather than caring about the people around him. Even his new pregnant wife and the child, they're just an extension of himself. Just a way to make himself look good to bolster his reputation within the Merchant Council because he's ashamed of the son he did have. We learn about Wyland's mother, who we are told died when he was 8, and then his father never talked about her ever again, never talked about her in any way. She was just completely forgotten about. And I think Jan van Eyck married pretty quickly after the fact, which tells you so much about the kind of man he is. Also want to mention that we're currently reading Crooked Kingdom, so if anyone watches this video and wants to make any points about Crooked Kingdom, please do so, but try and leave them spoiler free for myself and for anyone else. Thank you. So I know this is a rather short video, but once again, we're still kind of finding we're fun with this. The last thing I want to mention is when Fanek screws them all over, he kidnaps Inji and demands that they bring him Kuiyobo or Inji will be hurt. And they've got 7 days to do that, so that's where the book ends. And we really see how driven Kaz is to get her back once she's taken. Once again, I know this is a really short video, but we're still finding we're footing with these book reviews. Um, the book was really good. I enjoyed it. I couldn't put it down. The twists and turns had me going. Um, and the book is done in different point of view. So we have points of view from Inji. We have points of view from Kaz, Nina, Matthias, Jasper. The only character who didn't get a point of view in the book was Wylan, and I think that the author made a very distinct choice about that because if I look through the book, you never see a point of view from Wylan. One doesn't get a point of view until the second book. And learning about his mindset is interesting too. We've also got pretty art of the characters that look amazing. This is the special edition of the book. And art was one of the things I especially loved about the book. The book has no spice, so throughout the entire book, the couples that I predict, such as Kaz and Indra and Nina and Matthias, never kiss, but you can tell that they care about each other. So the person that sca- when I say Pekka Rowland scammed Geordie and Kaz, his alias was Mr. Hurt Soon. And he took everything from them. And he's the reason Kaz started the drugs. He's the reason Kaz started working for um the person they're working for now. Kaz also stole from Fanek, stole a painting, which I found was quite funny, but he doesn't know that it was Kaz. So the person Kaz works for is called Per Haskell, and he's the head of the Crows, the dregs. So he likes to think, but we all know Kaz is a true leader. So I know this book review was kind of coming and going, but we'll leave it here. Once again, still finding my footing with this. This is only my second book review that I've done, so I hope you all enjoy it.